Now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the analysis of YOLENO TV. I hope you well from wherever you're watching this channel. Now, Raila Odinga has surfaced, and for the first time, Raila has confirmed that he is going to attend the SABASABA demos.
Made a message to the United Nations and the people of all the world.
We have not achieved everything that we want. I will go to Kamukunji to remember those who...
But Raila is coming up with a different strategy of bringing on board the concept of going to Kamukunji. Now, for those of you who've been following SABASABA, commemoration days, you must have realized that most of the time it normally starts from Kamukunji. Now, pundits have argued that this is a strategy to try to convince Gen Zs not to go to CBD and instead direct their grievances to Kamukunji, where they are supposed to chant whatever they want to chant and do whatever they want to do, but at Kamukunji ground. So I'm looking at this statement from Raila Odinga about saying that he's going to attend SABASABA demos, but will go direct to Kamukunji. Of course, nobody is denying the fact that Raila is one of those people who came up with the SABASABA concept. Remember the story of them being detained. And in an interview, Raila Odinga has again reminded Kenyans about that history of SABASABA. Nobody knows the history better than Raila Odinga, Paul Mwite, the late Charles Rubia, the likes of Martin Shikuku, Kenneth Matiba. These are people who played a critical role in the SABASABA of the day back then when Moi was still in power. So let's focus on this strategy from Raila Odinga.
I will go to Kamukunji.
I'd like us to break down this and this sudden statement that Raila has just gave Kenyans that he's going to attend the SABASABA demos. I don't know whether Ruto knew about this. I don't know whether they had talked about it. I'm not aware about that. But looking at Raila Odinga saying that he's going to join the SABASABA demos, but it's going to Kamukunji, I think this is a strategy to try to shift the attention of the Gen Zs from heading to the CBD so that they can channel their grievances at Kamukunji ground. So before we focus more on this story, ladies and gentlemen, kindly take this opportunity, subscribe to our channel if you have not subscribed before, and to our existing subscribers, thank you so much for your support. Now, if Raila Odinga has made that pronouncement, and you probably have seen that interview, there's an interview that was shared. I've seen it in various platforms, that interview regarding Raila Odinga and the concept behind SABASABA. So Raila declared that yeye atajoin hii maandamano. Of course, I'm agreeing with people who think that this is a strategy ya kujaribu shift attention ya Gen Zs ambao wamekuwa wakiinsist kwamba lazima waingie Nairobi CBD. Mind you, serikali inasema demonstrate, yes, but don't destroy properties. So are we foreseeing a scenario where Raila is being used by the government to try ku direct hii maandamano iende Kamukunji? Wajua Kamukunji ground pale wataongea, wachant, waseme A, waseme B and everything. But then at the end of the day, they will not have gone to the CBD. You see, by the time they finish their rally at Kamukunji, itakuwa polisi wameblock area karibu zote za kwenda CBD. Na hiyo itakuwa ni plus kwa polisi, kwa sababu polisi watakuwa wanaweza kumanage hiyo crowd. Itakuwa ni ngumu kidogo, lakini watajaribu kumanage. As opposed to the current scenario whereby they don't even know where these people will come from or how they are going to get to town. lakini huwa ni wengi na from various routes. But if it's the issue of Kamukunji, unapata kama Kamukunji, it will be easy to contain hizo routes ambazo zinaenda kwa town, and that will be a major plus, because now you find that goons, of course goons watatumika, tuseme ukweli, goons watatumika. Goons wakitumika, itakuwa kazi yao ni kupiga wale ambao wanaingia Nairobi CBD, na it will be very easy because these people will converge at Kamukunji. After the Kamukunji rally, they'll think about going to CBD, na hapo ndo watakutana na goons ambao wamekuwa allegedly hired na watu fulani katika serikali, goons. Now let's visit the statement again by Raila. There's an explosive interview. I've captured the interview. I will share the interview extensively in another video. But in that interview, ladies and gentlemen, Raila has confirmed very important points, ladies and gentlemen, kwamba Kamukunji sio Sabasaba, sio ni riot, sio riot tu. Sabasaba inafaa ikumbushe wa Kenya ile struggle ya multipartyism, because according to Raila Odinga anasema kwamba Sabasaba ilikuja na multipartyism. That time Mwite was arrested. That time some leaders were arrested. You know, leaders who were with Raila Odinga, they were arrested. So Raila anasema kwamba yeye aliingia exile Norway, alikuwa awe arrested pia, lakini ndio yake na Norway, you know. So what this story is telling us, ladies and gentlemen, is that Raila's plan, naona kama kuna kitu nyuma yake, kuna kitu kimejificha pale. Hili yeye tu amue kwamba ataenda Kamukunji, kuna kitu pale. First and foremost, if he goes to Kamukunji, now we know what is happening on the ground, si atakuwa heckled. But again, I know Raila Odinga misses the streets. He has been a street champion, doing demos with the youths, you know, with not even the youth, only the Gen X, you know, the Gen Zs and Gen X. I've seen Raila Odinga in those forums trying to argue with the protesters.
It was a multi-party system, and it was a parliamentary also system of government. We had two political parties. But over the period, the opposition party, KADU, disbanded and joined KANU. But then in 1966, an opposition party was formed, KPU. KPU again was banned in 1969. So from 1969, Kenya had a de facto one-party system of dictatorship. That went on until 1982. Of course, in that period of time, several people tried to form political parties, but they were not allowed. And we intended to form another one in 1982. But in order to prevent that from happening, an amendment was removed in Parliament to create what was known as Section 2A, which made Kenya now a de jure single-party dictatorship. From that time onwards, of course, there was other developments which were basically eroding people's rights in the system. In 1988, they came up with what they called direct democracy, 1988 elections, which was called the Mulolongo system, where people were supposed to, in preliminary elections, people would go and would queue behind candidates. Then the candidates, the delegate would be counted, and anybody who got more than 50% of the votes would be declared automatically elected without having to go to the polls for balloting. This Mulolongo system was abused seriously, and it caused quite a lot of dissension. a number of people who were not wanted by the system were rigged out in 1988. But that actually, I just wanted to go back to that after the amendment of 1982, that made the country a single-party dictatorship. Kenyans were now left without any option. And that's when there was the coup attempt of 1982, which resulted in a lot of repressions at that time. And also a number of people had been detained, some of them before and others after. There were detentions without trial. Several people were detained, people like Maina Kinyati, Koigu Amwere, Joja Nyona, William Tunga, Katama Mkangi, several of them had been detained. A number of them from University of Nairobi, people like Mkaru Nganga, Professor Edward Oyugi, and so on. I want to say that the political system itself had become very repressive indeed. So after the elections of 1988, come now 1980, the people had had enough. And one of those people who had been rigged, or some of those who had been rigged, was late Kenneth Matiba and Charles Robia. Now in 1988, now in May 1990, to be exact, I think it was 2nd of May 1990, Kenneth Matiba and Charles Robia issued a they addressed a press conference in which they said that Kenya was now ripe for multipartyism, and that they wanted to ask the Kenyans to go and express themselves, see if they want multipartyism or they don't want multipartyism. And they proposed a rally at Kamukunji grounds, the historic Kamukunji grounds, to be held on the 7th of July.
So, ladies and gentlemen, just go below in the comment section and tell us what to think about this concept. Raila Amolo Odinga joining Kamukunji for the SABASABA day. Mnaonaje hiyo swala? Raila, Kamukunji, SABASABA day demos. Perhaps if you're watching this video and you've not subscribed, take 1 second and subscribe, like this video. Until you catch up again, stay safe and stay blessed.